So I gotta probably be the youngest person in the room right now, it looks like. And I'm all the way from Canada, so you're gonna notice a little bit of an accent. Another Canadian, fantastic. So I'm from an organization called CCi Global Technologies, and I don't want to do a pitch, but I want to be able to explain who we are and where we came from. We were formerly known as Claims Corp, a management consulting company, and we pivoted to a SaaS organization in 2016. COVID really made our business take off because now all of a sudden, everybody wanted access to data. And everything that Pete spoke about and having access to these new solutions needs data in the background. And somebody needs to protect that data. Data can't be in one place. It needs to be stored in decentralized environments. But what does this mean to a collision repairer? Well, right off the bat, by a show of hands, how many people have your repair authorization agreements that get signed before the repair gets done? Fantastic. In there, do you name that the customer gives authorization to data moving around between third-party systems in the industry? Yes, fantastic. Well, with 36,000 collision centers out there, not all of them are operating the same way. What that means is we're only as strong as our weakest link. So if not everybody is getting those authorization agreements complete, we're in trouble. One of the things we want to pay attention to are what are the third-party vendors we're working with and supplying data to. So we all know that data was getting leaked to a source that was causing our industry some problems. Well, we need to know what vendors are providing that data there. So you need to be able to talk with your vendors to say, where are you storing data? Where is data being moved to? And how accessible is it? And how quickly can we get rid of it? Everybody's heard of GDPR and everything that's going on in California right now with having to delete data if a customer asks for it. Well, that has to go across all your vendor partners as well. So just because you deleted it from your management system or estimating system doesn't mean it's deleted from all the tables out there that are part of these third-party systems that you work with. But more importantly, what we want to pay attention to are data breaches. So within our industry, there's not too many breaches, but we hear about people getting taken advantage of through ransomware and different attacks like that. Well, we as an industry have to protect ourselves there. Not only the data, but we have to protect our businesses. So there's new solutions out there called XDR, Extended Detection Response, which allows you to protect your business through having one source of security view. So rather than just having your typical McAfee setup or any other thing that's going to start to protect for you from viruses and such, you want to start to look into XDR because that'll prevent anybody from getting in as well. The other thing you want to start to take a look at in your environment is something called zero trust. And what zero trust is meaning that nobody within your collision center or any vendor that you work with has access to all of the data. What we call that is having God permission. If somebody has access to all of that data, that means they are the vulnerability point where you can be hacked. So we all know that hacking has become a huge thing over the last few years. It's now the new version of the online mob. So everybody we used to make fun of when we were younger, now they're starting to hack us and take advantage of us. We need to have systems in place in order to prevent that moving forward. So breaches are going to happen. That's the statement here. You can't 100% protect yourself. So what we look at is like when somebody is getting robbed at a bank, you don't blame the teller. You don't go after the teller and say, okay, you were the reason why this happened. You look at before and after the bank robbery. So what are we doing as collision centers to prevent this right off the bat? And what are we doing after to prevent it? So if we look at it, we talked about XDR, we talked about working with trusted vendors, but then we have to say, what are all the devices that are connecting to this data? So how many of you allow your technicians to connect to the Wi-Fi? How many of you make sure their phones are encrypted so they're not your entry point? Not too many, one. That's one of the things we have to keep in mind as well to prevent some of these breaches from happening. If we look at it, that is the #1 area where people are going to get into your system is through your technicians' phones. So you want to be able to make sure that you have that taken care of so that nobody's going to be coming into your system and taking your data hostage from you. A couple more points to go through here. Last thing is cyber insurance. As a 2021 business, you do need to have cyber insurance. Has anybody looked into it? So a lot of our businesses won't even qualify for cyber insurance. So that's one of the things you want to start to apply for to make sure you have it for your business. So if you do ever have a breach, or if anybody ever gets into your system, you have an insurance policy and somebody that'll take over for you in handling the damage control. So you have somebody come in that's going to be talking to any of the press, anybody who's affected, and anybody who's going to be able to help you moving forward. Lastly, after you do have a breach, the most important thing to do is pay attention to the communication after. Your brand can survive having a data breach. We know that through brands like Facebook and other organizations out there that are still around, but have had breaches come to mind. Handling the communication with 100% transparency is really what I would highly recommend. You want to tell the people exactly what happened, where the breach was, how many tables were affected in any of your solutions, and be able to be 100% transparent with the market so that if anything comes back, GDPR, anything like that, anybody who's going to come and take a look at finding you, you're doing everything possible in order to prevent the extent of that breach from going any further. So really, what we need to start to do is hold this industry accountable to being able to take data security a lot more seriously than what we have. So it's up to everybody in this room to hold each other accountable, as well as think of ways to continue to move this industry forward as we look at solutions, like Pete said, that are connected and making sure they're doing everything they can to protect the data as well. From a collision repair center perspective, does anybody have any more questions on anything we spoke about today? All right, I'll turn it right back over to Aaron.